Hello, I'm your host, Rashawn Ellis of Purple Beats Radio 2. Today we will be interviewing crime and mystery novelist Omar Scott from Los Angeles, California. Today he will be sharing some tips on writing crime and mystery novels. Stay tuned, we will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Omar Scott with us. He is originally from Los Angeles, California, and he's going to be discussing several of his books that he's written. He is a crime and mystery novelist. So glad to have you with us today at Urban Beats Radio 2. You're welcome here anytime.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me on.
You're so welcome. So what sparked your interest in writing, in majoring in creative writing?
Well, it's a couple of things. One, my grandmother was an author, poet, and she was from New York, and she actually went on the Showtime at the Apollo back in the day.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think it was the one where wasn't it Mark Curry that he was on there before?
Mark Curry and then
right?
Steve Harvey. Yeah.
Because it was early 90s. So I think it was Mark Curry, man. And she went on there, did her poem, got a standing ovation, and she was out there, hustling some of those books, and I was like, wow,
amazing.
She had a very creative mind. And in school, my best subjects was English. I liked reading these books, Charlotte's Web and Macbeth or Moby Dick or whatever, and so, I'm always daydreaming and stuff like this right here in class, always having inventive stories.
Awesome.
And I just never knew that you can get paid to write them.
There you go. Exactly. You can turn it into some money for you. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Okay. So what was your inspiration from your favorite book authors? You listed several book authors that inspired you to write urban fiction. So who were your favorite book authors that inspired you to write?
Well, each one, kind of gave me like, a little different type of vibe, fed a little bit into my own creative mind, and I think, the original one I think was Donald Goins, a long time ago, but he wrote like a lot of street stuff, and I was like, man, I didn't even know this type of things were written in a book, for one.
Okay.
And it was kind of very descriptive of, the kind of times and community that I grew up in. And so I related to it real well, So he's one.
Okay.
Jerome Dickey, I like him. I think the first book I read by him was Sister. And so I really liked that book. I really liked how, I got into the mind of these women and the things they deal with, and I didn't know, how, guys are knuckleheads and we kind of bring out the worst in women at times, stuff like this right here, and just trying to make things happen. So it gave me a new feel, a new, way of looking at how women see us,
Exactly. It's good to get insight from different perspectives so you can kind of see how you want to, set your stories as you write them as well. So yeah.
Then I read Addicted and by Zane, and that, got more into the sexuality of side of things, which I didn't realize those things were written in the book either,
Right.
And I'm like, okay, and because I think the first thing that I wrote, I was trying to write a story like I'm Daniel Steele or somebody like that, right? Or Danny Ivanovich, where I'm like his place and his fun and her chest and all the stuff right here.
Yes.
Well, Zane just spelled it right out and just put it right out there, man. I'm like, wow, she said, kind of let it know that it's okay to have your own voice, however you see it from your perspective,
Exactly.
And Daniel Steele sees romance this way, that's cool for her. But I see it more like Zane sees it.
Okay.
So
you like his perspective better. Exactly. Right.
I think the book that got me to pick up the pen though was Sister Soldier and the Cold, right? And there was a lot of aspects of that book that was similar to my life, from a male's point of view, and I like the narrative because the lead character is telling you the story from their perspective, where the other ones were kind of like a third, you know, that third person looking in at the story, that God view of the story. What this one is telling you, you know, you're feeling what this person is going through. You're feeling every little slip and slide that they're trying to get out of this jam, get in this jam and avoid this situation and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, you know, I had several of these kind of scenarios growing up in my life, you know, and, you know, only people were hearing about it was, you know, friends or whatever. I'm telling them a story and they can't believe these type of things. I'm like, yeah, this stuff really happened, man, you know.
Exactly.
So yeah, that made me pick up the pen and write the first story.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You have several bodies of work. I pulled up some more of your stuff that you've done. You have a book called Meet Mr. Right, The Hands of Love, and When a Goodwill Goes Bad. So can you tell me a little bit about that book, When a Goodwill Goes Bad? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, you know, that's the first one. And like I said, similar to that Coldest Winter Ever, it kind of got me thinking of a guy's journey, a coming of age story, right? Set in the 90s. And, you know, while the story is fictional, a lot of the people in there, you know, I use from real life. Yeah. You know, and so one of the reasons that I wrote that particular story in particular, and which, you know, initially launched me into writing, was I had a good friend that I went to school with, right? And so I wanted to draw this contrast because, you know, me and him, you know, we were good buddies since junior high school. We were straight A students. We were on the honor roll. We played football. We in the curricular activities. You know, we going to school dances and all this stuff like that. Now, from that point until he was 20 years old, he died in a drug deal that went bad, and he's under a car breathing his last seconds as somebody's shooting him to death. And he had both parents. And he grew up in a house, you know, with a fence and 2 cars and a dog and all, just the normal things that you would think somebody have, that you would think, okay, I have what I need to succeed. Yes. And he had all those things and he didn't succeed. And I was like, that is a story that I wanted to tell, that I thought needed to be told from, you know, a Black perspective, you know, that we need stories like those. Exactly. How this fork in the road can go so badly for somebody who has, you know, all these things in place for them to succeed. You know?
Right. I mean, it's real life, and you definitely want to write stories where people can actually connect with. They can definitely tap into like with their life and what they're reading, because a lot of people have experienced a lot of things that a lot of authors that they do talk about as well. So yeah, that's very good stuff.
And so when Goodwill Goes Bad, the author pretty much has, you know, what people call survivor's remorse. Like, hey man, I made it. I did something. I made something of myself, man, but I still feel guilty because I couldn't save my friend from that fate. And that's what this book is about, you know.
That's important. That's really, really good stuff. That's really huge. So what was your inspiration to do your latest book of work, Loyal to a Fault, which is due out this fall?
Yes. That one was coming kind of inspiration through my wife, you know, and she was always telling me, you know, that she thinks I'm more loyal to friends, to family, to jobs, to everybody else, but those people don't have the same kind of loyalty to me, you know. Exactly. And so, you know, and so I was like, man, you know, that would make for a very good cautionary tale, you know. And I kind of had this, I'm a kind of writer that I work in reverse. Okay. So I see the end of the book. I can visualize how the story ends. And I had a great ending for this. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to tell nobody.
Right. You don't want to tell the story.
It's a great ending. It goes hand in hand with that kind of cautionary tale, that theory of, you know what I mean, you know, that you're so loyal that you can't let go. You can't let go of the past. You can't let go of these things or friends or toxic relationships or bad things that went wrong. You stay in it. People stay in bad relationships, bad marriages,
Very
bad
relatable.
friendships, kind of
Yep.
like my friend did,
Hmm.
and you like, I've outgrown this and it's time for me
Exactly.
to move on and let these things go. But my main character, Des, he can't let it go. And
He's
because
holding
of
on.
he's
Hmm.
holding on, and because of that, it is toxic, it pollutes him, and it eventually is going to,
It
it's
can
going to
destroy
turn,
him.
it can destroy him. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so that's one of my main reasons. Of course, I have several other smaller subplots in there, but that
Yeah.
is the main reason that I wanted to do that.
Okay. And also, this story takes place, I believe, in New York. And so,
Yes.
what was your reason for, like having the setting to be there in New York? Like, is there a deeper connection to that?
Yeah, it's like I said, my grandmother was from New York.
Hmm.
So is my mother. So my mother's side of the family are all New Yorkers.
Okay.
Uh, you know, grew up in the Smith Projects right there in the Lower East Side. And
Hmm.
my grandfather, he was like a lifelong New Yorker. He never had a driver's license. He's that kind of.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And so I had that, I always like that unique feel about New York City that's unlike any place else, even where I'm from, Los Angeles,
Gotcha.
because most cities are segregated, but New York is a true melting pot. Like you can,
Of
one block can
everyone.
be rich and one block can be poor. And so everybody has to intermingle together. And I always like the fusion of, cultures, of music, food, or
Hmm.
whatever, style.
Exactly.
And nothing does that for me, like New York.
Different
So,
cultures,
yeah.
everything. Yeah.
So like piece of my heart is like I think Tony Bennett says, he left his heart in San Francisco. I left
Yeah.
mine in New York.
Family history as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, have you experienced any of the situations that you write about that were like dangerous in the story? Have you experienced any of those situations in your real life?
I have, several of them, man. I could run your whole show with real life situations. But I tell you this right here, the first time that somebody actually pulled a gun on me, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
was,
That's
I
huge. That's
was
big stuff.
yeah, I was 17,
Mm.
and I had me and my friend named. Well, I just leave the name out of it just for for this sake, but he knows who he
Yeah.
is. And
Right.
we were on our way, just back in the day when parties were at skating rinks.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was like that in your city, but everybody would
It
go
is. Yep. Yep.
to a skate land or whatever. And
Hmm.
we had a roller world. So we're on our
Right.
way to roller world. We're going down the avenue. My buddy's rolling with me. Cadillac, and I'm in my Monte Carlo, man. I got my rims on it, man. I'm looking good. I'm leaning to the side, one hand on the steering wheel, right?
Yeah.
We flying down the avenue, and this is kind of like back in the day too, where people kind of would kind of cruise,
Hmm.
like cruise on the avenue, and you want to talk to girls and stuff like this right here, and people be outside, kind of like Boys in the Hood. It was kind of like
Yeah.
that. And
Right.
kind of that kind of atmosphere. So we cruising down there. Guy comes on from off my right side. He kind of in his Cadillac, nice Fleetwood.
Hmm.
He swoops in front of me, but all of a sudden something happens in front of him, and he stops on a dime,
Mm.
and I stop and I bump the fender of his car. Right?
Right. Right. Oh, wow.
He gets out, I get out, and you know he steps to me like, man, what's your problem? Like, man, you swooped in front of me.
Exactly. Right.
And he pulls out a gun.
Oh, God.
And he
Yeah.
pulls out a gun and he's getting ready to shoot me over this.
Mm.
Seriously.
Makes no sense.
The only thing that saved me is that my friend got out the car and was homeboys with this dude.
You see?
I mean, only God can come up with, I guess, a scenario like that. But
Yeah.
he got out the car. He said, he like, hey, man, this is my man. He cool. It
Right.
ain't even like that. You don't even really have no damage to your car, man. And he talked him off the ledge.
To let it go.
And the dude was like, man, you lucky you here with him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's gonna kill me over that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's just one scenario right there.
That's definitely relatable because those things do happen. I mean, the world that we live in today. So Very, very, you never know who is on edge or what walk of life they could be from. So I guess tell us a little bit about your writing process. Like how do you come up with your characters, your plots, and how you want your stories to play out, how you want them to end?
Yeah, just like I was saying a minute ago, I I can't even start a story unless I know how it's going to end. I know some writers just kind of just write and they write until they run out of words.
Right.
Me, uh, I have to know how the story ends.
Gotcha.
You know, I
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of a good one, kind of like you ever seen Motive with
Yes.
Jamar Moore and
Yes, I have.
right?
Yes.
Okay, well, and this is like a 15-year-old movie, so anybody who don't know the plot by now, man, you out of luck. But
Right.
in the end, uh, the his best friend turns on him, right?
Yeah.
And Shamar Moore winds up in prison, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, me, I had to have seen that scene in my
Yeah.
head before I wrote it. So I already know that Shamar Moore is going to get caught up by his friend. And so that allows me, when I'm writing the story, I'm putting in the Easter eggs, I'm putting in how the plot line is going to affect itself based on how this story is going to end.
Right.
And the fact that, all the books that I write or anything that I write, I always write it with a purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I want the reader to take something away from it,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Okay.
And so I write cautionary tales. So,
Yes.
and then say with the motive thing, the cautionary tale would be, don't trust your friend. You know what I mean? Uh, smile in your face all the time. They want to take your
Exactly.
place. You know.
Exactly. Exactly. You
So
definitely want to
yeah,
write relatable stuff because, like I said, we all, live our lives and everybody experiences something different, no matter what it may be, whether it may be love or something fun or something serious. So it's really good to be a very relatable author when you're writing stories that can hopefully, tap into someone's life and, get them to think. Very
yeah.
important.
And then so with the characters are strictly observation.
Mhm.
Like when I see people, when I meet people, like I used to go to this. I used to go to the APHIS, and there was a guy that worked in the APHIS. Man, he could outcuss anybody. Right? He was a sailor,
Right.
smoker, but
Right.
he was a deacon of a church. So I'm like, man, that nigga, that's like a character I keep in my head, and I have a story lined up where I can use him. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and I'm like, man, he was just funny, and he stutters and stuff like this right here. I'm like, man, this guy would make a great character. It might be your uncle or something like this right here, that type of
Yes.
thing. And so I have different characters like that. It's either characters that are based on that or
Hmm.
characters that are based on an issue, like I have mama issues, I have
Hmm.
daddy issues, I have an issue where this girl broke my heart and I ain't never got over it, so I'm a
Hmm.
treat women bad type, issue.
Right.
And I build characters based on those type of things, based on their emotional content.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's
Mhm.
that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Like I said, it definitely has to be relatable for people to be able to like tap into what you're speaking of as they relate it to their own lives. And so also could you share tips with us on how you write your crime and mystery novels? Anything other than what you've already spoken of so far?
Yeah, I mean, some of those are it's kind of black and white, man. The juicier the better.
Right.
I had I went to a workshop,
Hmm.
when I first started writing, and I went back to college, and then I used
Hmm.
to, join workshops, and then I joined a writers group. But I remember back in the very first workshop I went to, it was a Christian author named
Yeah.
Jackie Scott, right?
Hmm.
And much like I was telling you before with the other book, when I was telling you about the writing the romance thing, right?
Yes.
I was trying to discover my voice.
Hmm.
You know? And her advice to me, even though she was a Christian author, she was like, man, you you're telling these stories from your perspective. You're the narrator in these stories, right?
Hmm.
So you are the unique voice here. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so you have to you have to tell it the way you see it. And if it's
Yes.
okay for you to say this word or that word or spell it out this way, then that's what you bring to a story. You don't want to be like anybody else or do anything like anybody else.
Right.
So that's one of the things that I would say about, you know, writing mysteries or writing crime is to write what you know.
There you go. Be authentic. Be yourself.
So, yeah, be authentic. Write what you know. If you're not a street guy, then don't try to write street. If you don't know that,
Exactly.
if you are a romance guy, don't try to write romance.
Exactly.
And you know, you can use simple scenarios to
Hmm.
paint a perfect picture, man. You know, prime example, right? Is you know, when I got married and I bought my first house.
Yes.
It was a used house, right? You know,
Hmm.
older house in the neighborhood. And I
Hmm.
moved in 1 month later. I wouldn't
Hmm.
even say 1 month. It may have been like 3 weeks. Somebody broke into that house and stole everything, right?
Wow. Mm.
And so for me, it had to be it had to be somebody that I knew or
Hmm.
somebody that was watching us, you know?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so, yeah,
That's normally the case.
right. And so right there is something that I could write about something that I know because this personally happened to it. And now I can use the tentacles from that to say,
Exactly.
man, you know what? Mr. Jones crossed the street, man. He was overly friendly. He was coming over bringing lemonade and cookies and stuff when I moved in here. Now all of a sudden, you know, my stuff get broken into and he's outside on his porch every day watching the neighborhood and
Exactly.
he didn't see nothing. But you see everything else.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, he had something to do with that. And you know, you can use that to write a story. Well, people
Yeah.
have this kind of scenarios that happen all the time in their own life. Hey man,
Yeah.
you know, my man was out till 2 o'clock in the morning and he
Hmm.
said he had a flat tire on this freeway. Well, this is that. And you know, my homegirl, man, she was always gone at the same time too, you know, man. And you can use that to write your own mystery or your own romance and let your imagination just run away with it. You know,
That's
so
very important. I think that's the most important thing is to be authentic because, like I say, the more authentic that you are as a writer and as an author, people can really place themselves like in those situations that you're describing. So I think that's very, very important. And I know
mhm.
that you also mentioned that these types of books, crime and mystery novels, they do very well in the US and the UK. Why does this genre do so well in the US and in the UK?
You know what? In my opinion, right? I think that number one, I think everybody has been touched by it in some form or fashion, whether it's somebody breaking into your car or stealing
Hmm.
your identity or something like this right here. Everybody's touched by crime or their family members touched by crime in some sort of way, right?
Yes, yes,
Nobody's immune to it. So
absolutely.
you can't escape it. That's number one. I think number two, I think a lot of what happens in crime novels and stuff like this, you know, kind of appeals to the average person's darker side, you know.
Yeah.
And this is something that Stephen King, you know, once said, you know, that and how he's able to write those kind of books is that, man, you know, we are all governed by our moralities, and our moralities will
Absolutely.
allow us will keep us in check, right? You know,
Hmm.
church, these things right here will keep you in check and keep you from doing the things that you wouldn't do or
Yeah.
saying the things that you wouldn't say.
Yeah.
But this character, he can do all that, right? This character right here, he can do anything. He can say this right here. This bad boy, I like
Yeah.
him. I want to see what about him. I want to see what makes him the way he is, how he ticks. You know, that the guy steals from him.
Exactly.
Somebody steal from me, man. I gotta go call the police. All this right here. The guy who
Right.
steals from him, he goes up there, man. He tears up their house. He whoops them, man. He takes out his baton and then beat up whoever's in the house and kick over their stuff right here
Yeah.
and threaten them. We can't do those type of things, but the guy in
Right.
the novel can. The gangster can, and so
Exactly.
that's what makes people appear to the gangsters of the world, to the ghost of the world, man. That
Right. Exactly.
you know you can break the rules, but
Yes.
the average person can't break the rules, and
Right.
you get to while you're breaking the rules, you're rewarded with this lavish lifestyle.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so
That's the
people are
kind of
attracted to the lifestyle too.
exactly. I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, because they honestly, the truth of the matter is, there are people that actually do live those lives. Like even if you write them in a book, okay, yeah, they are in the book, they are in movies, but there are real kingpins, there are real drug lords, there are real mobsters, gangsters that actually do live those lifestyles. So that's how you're able to put those kind of stories into your books, into a movie, because these are real life situations again. So yeah, it's definitely relatable. Definitely relatable. Okay, so can you tell all of your fans how they can connect with you on the internet, social media, and how can they purchase your books?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm always, I have a Facebook page,
Okay.
facebook.com/novels by Omar. You can connect with me there. Uh, I'm on I'm on Goodreads too. Goodreads/Arthur/Omar Scott. You can find me there. Um, I have an Amazon page. So if you was to Google my name or you went on Amazon and typed in Arthur Omar Scott, you'll find me there.
Okay.
My page has all the books and stuff that are listed there. I have a website with my publisher.
Okay.
It's Outskirts, Outskirts OUTSKIRTS, Outskirts Press, PRESS, all one word, .com,
Okay.
and /Loyal to a Fault, which is
Gotcha.
the name of the new book. You can go there. It has all this, everything I just told you, it has all that information is there. And, but with the Facebook and the Google reads, Goodreads, you can DM me there. And if you do DM me, I will respond.
Okay, that is amazing. That's amazing. This has been good stuff today. I've interviewed a lot of people that are book authors, but we've never had crime and mystery before. So this is a
Really?
whole new spin on being an author and writing books and stuff. So I get something different all the time, but I say I got to check this out and see what this is about. So I am looking forward to finding out more about you. I definitely want to check out your book, Loyal to a Fault, when that comes out. That's coming out now. It is a
Yeah.
fall, so it's about to come out now. And I'm still interested in finding out about the other three bodies of work too, because I believe they may be along the lines of what you got coming out now. It sounds like there's going to be some really, really good stuff coming from you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had my previous book, The Hands of Love.
Okay.
I don't think we ever touched on that one.
No.
That one's about a dirty detective. He's kind of like Denzel in Training Day, right?
Okay.
Where he's staggering the line of what's good and what's wrong and stuff like this. But he has reasons that I think people can identify with.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to take care of his family and stuff like that. He's having these relationships, outside of his marriage, and then the women start coming up dead.
Yeah.
And the evidence and the killer is leaving the message that says the hands that touch me will never touch another. And all the evidence is pointing towards him.
Absolutely.
Now, yeah. So now he's trying to, he's got a squad of dudes who's been controlling the streets, who's been doing stuff like this right here. So he's got a lot of enemies and he doesn't know who's doing it, where it's coming from. So he's trying to, keep his crew intact, clear his name, save this woman, and do all these things before the end of the book, Yeah.
Right.
So, mm-hmm.
Wow. This time, it's like as I'm listening to you describe, like give us insight on the stories, my mind is already starting to run. And that's what happens when I pick up a book. My mind starts to go like into the story, like really like imagining, getting into the whole deal of what is going on in this story. So this is amazing stuff. It has been an amazing pleasure to have you on Urban Beats Radio 2. As I said in the beginning, you're welcome here anytime to drop off any books that you got coming out. That's what we're here for. Any talent that has anything that they want to share with the world, put their dream out there, books, whatever it may be, you're welcome to do it here on this platform. And so thank you so much for being on Urban Beats Radio 2 today.
Oh, thank you very much, man. I'm glad I could be on. Great to see you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right.
2 was brought to you by Whipple Tompkins Mobile Notary Service, where notary service is fast and reliable, available 24/7. You better get.
Hello, I am the host and founder of Urban Beats Radio 2, Rashawn Ellis. We have taken a long break, but we are back. And this time we are back with the Chanel's Trendy Boutique. It is our new store. We're selling Urban Beats Radio 2 t-shirts, Chanel's Music Entertainment t-shirts, as well as new accessories from Paparazzi Accessories. So when you get a chance, check us out. Go out there and, look around and see if we have anything that you like. Thank you so much for your love and support of Urban Beats Radio 2. We will see you on the next show.